Hey everyone, it is Kat
and Amber.
And we are Wandering Soup. Hi Wanderers.
What's up, y'all?
That's right. We are on part 3 of our 5-part series on moving abroad or moving to Mexico, whichever way you're looking at it from, but we're covering everything we think you may need to help you move abroad. And as mentioned, this is our 3rd video. Hopefully you've seen the other 2.
Check them out.
But this one, we're going to talk about passports, visas, and money. Because it's all about the money, y'all.
Get into it. It's good stuff.
Oh, love it. Are you ready? Let's do it.
Passports. So if you are really thinking about moving and you don't have a passport, are you really ready to move abroad? Like, that's it. Passport, number 1, gotta have it.
Got to
have it. So even if you're just thinking about it right now is the time. If you're thinking about potentially moving in 2021, or definitely really thinking about it for 2022, you should already be heading to usa.gov/passport to start that process.
Right.
There's all the information you need is there. Setting up appointment to go ahead, just at least set up the appointment to set up the passport process. It's gonna be usually 12 weeks, I think is what they tell you on the site. But that could change, or that could be different depending on the service you use. You can use the regular service, or you can use expedited. If you're not in a rush, go for regular, no problem. But if you think that you actually might want to leave within the next, 3 to 4 months, then you definitely want to probably go for the expedited. In our situation, we actually had family that were going to come visit us here in Mexico, and it took 4 months. I wasn't anticipating that. The website said it would be 12 weeks, but no. So I actually ended up having to go a step further, and I'm reaching out to the congressman's office of our state. And with their help, I was able to actually get the passport. Even though I hadn't applied for the expedited service, I didn't think I would need it, but they actually upgraded my service at that point and got it to us. So it turned out great, even though we still have to reschedule those summer plans. But yeah, passport, if you need to go for the expedited service, go for that. Just do it according to your plans, your schedule.
Right. Basically, you need to get a passport. If you're planning on moving abroad and you don't have a passport, are you really planning on moving abroad? Right? Because that is the first step to get out of the country. So you need a passport. As Amber mentioned, go to the website, pay the fee, set up the appointment. You're looking at a $110 processing fee to start, and then it's $110 for the passport itself. You want to get the passport book and not the passport card. Passport card is essentially, in my mind, useless. So go for the book. Go for the big book, because you may want to visit other countries, and each country puts a different stamp on there. Mm-hmm. So you want the bigger book, and then there's a $35 processing fee, and then if you want expedited, there's a fee on top of that. So go in with that budget in mind, and you should be able to get your passport in enough time to travel in 2021 or 2022,
right,
depending on how things are going for you. And next up is visas, because I did mention you want to get the book and you want to get the big stamps. So now we're going for visas. All right, y'all, next up is visas. Do you need one? For Mexico, you typically only need a 180-day tourist visa, and you get that when you walk into the country. They stamp it on in your passport, and they actually give you a little card that you should not lose.
Yeah, so actually it's a slip of paper, right, so it's easy to misplace it. So that's why you have to be careful of that.
Hold on to that, but there is no fee involved. To get 180 days, that's 6 months. As soon as you walk into the country, if you're a U.S. citizen, it may vary for other people. And if you want to go to other countries and you're wondering about visa requirements, here's a link for you. You go take a look at that, and it'll tell you all the visa requirements and if there's any cost involved. So you want to stay longer than 180 days in Mexico at a temporary or permanent residency visa. There are a lot of requirements for that, financial, paperwork. You have to go to the consulate in America. Then you kind of come here and do some steps as well. We're going to post a link below in the summary, and you can go and click that link, and it'll tell you everything that you need to do. But there are steps involved.
Right.
And if you want to stay more than 180 days, you can do that. Now, some people in the past have lived on that 180 days. They leave for a few days, 3 to 4 days, and then they come back. That technically is illegal because you're not a tourist, right? You're living here. So they are starting to crack down on that. We've read about it in different groups. People have been kindly escorted out of the U.S.
If you overstay your visa.
Yeah, right. Or if you have too many stamps, you will not be allowed into the country. So let's say you've been doing that 180 for a few years now, and
right.
you leave for 4 days, and you come back thinking life is going to be good, and they say no.
Yeah.
It happens.
And these policies are changing all the time, y'all. So that's why you listen to the video, but then you also go out and check and do the research for where you're moving, because these policies could change at any time.
But as of today, 180 days is free. You can come into Mexico, you can set up, do whatever you need to do. But if you want to stay here longer than that, you definitely need to look at the different visas for either temporary or permanent. And we are heading toward the temporary ourselves. We'll be getting that, and once we do that, we'll talk to you about it and tell you what it took for us to get that.
We'll make the big jump, y'all.
We are leaping. That's not a leap, but we're leaping.
Oh, no, what is that, swimming?
It's a wave. I don't know.
It's okay. We wandering. It's wandering.
That'll work. That'll work. That'll work. All right, next up is money.
Money.
Who got some loot?
Money.
People always ask us, how much does it cost to live abroad? How much does it cost to move? How much does it cost?
It's a fair question.
Maybe. Depends on who you're asking.
We all wonder.
Right? Because I can ask Tom, and Tom says it costs him $15,000. I can ask Mary, and Mary said it cost her $1,500. Depends on the person, right? So I'm gonna answer that question. But before I get to that answer, I'm gonna give you some other information, some things I think you need to think about. So we've talked about passports and we've talked about visas, right? And in our other videos, we've talked about cost of living and things of that nature, housing, insurance, food costs, transportation. So if you got all of that in mind and you're planning on moving abroad, those costs, of course, will go with you. So I have 4 things I think you should do. 4 savings plans is what I call them. The four everything to move abroad for, even though we're on video 3, but there's 4 steps. There are 4 savings plans that I say that you should do if you are planning on moving abroad. All right? So the first one is called For Now. For Now. And that savings plan is for your passport, your transportation to whatever country you're going to move to, and any possible visa costs, right? So you're going to start a savings plan, and in that savings plan, it's going to be for your transportation, your visa, and your passport. If you already have your passport, then you don't have to even worry about that cost. If there's a visa cost involved, once you go to that site that we're going to post, then you go and figure it out and you add that to that savings plan, right? And then transportation costs. Once you figure out what country you're going to, if you're coming to Mexico, and you're coming from whatever city, state, if it's round trip, one way, you know how much that cost is going to be. That is your For Now savings plan. Once you max it out or you reach whatever that goal is, it's done, right? That's a set price.
The initial cost, basically.
Right. And then you got your For Then, and that's step 2. For Then. And For Then means when you get to the country that you're moving to. The money you're going to put into that account is going to be your housing cost. It's going to be your daily transportation cost if you figure you're going to be Ubering or Diddying or InDrive or whatever the rideshare app in that country is. And it's also going to be some food costs. Now, we're not going to go overboard, but if you eat out every day,
right,
then you should go overboard in this account, right? Don't put $20 in there. and you typically spend $50 a day eating out.
Or if you just eat every day.
Yeah. But still, don't go low.
No.
Don't go low, y'all. And if you're trying to figure out, well, Kat, I don't know how much my housing costs are going to be. I did a video. It's called Numio.com. Go to that site. Check out the video I did on it. And estimate. And then add 10% on top of that. Right? Just to be careful. Just to be sure. Just to make sure that you're okay. Right?
Yeah.
Those are the first two steps. Your third savings account is going to be for emergency. You get the for emergency, for now, for then, for emergency. I like that, right? Emergency. Emergency means that you may have to fly back to the States, right? You need to have transportation money for that. Emergency could be something medical. You need to have money for that, right? All of that goes into that fund, which should never really be touched unless there's an emergency. And you should always be putting money into that fund. The first one, once you reach the goal, it's done. You don't need it anymore. Don't put any more money in there. The second one, always put money in there, because you never know. The third one, always put money in there.
This is the not fun fund, but necessary.
Right. And then for fun is the fourth one. For fun. That's the stuff you want to do when you want to be a tourist in the new country that you're living in, right? Put money in there. There's nothing wrong with it. $20 a week, heck yeah, put it over there. $20 every 2 weeks, even better. Whatever works for you. But make sure you meet those other 3 goals first, and then you have your for fun account, right? And again, those are 4 options that I think you should do if you are considering moving abroad to Mexico or to any country. This will basically help you plan a little bit better. Catch the wave.
And this is whether you're by yourself or with other people.
Right. If you're with people, you definitely need those.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Because you never know. And health insurance is in that bucket too. It's in the for then account, because you need to put money into your health insurance to figure out what plan you're going to do. And you also need to put money for health insurance into the for emergency, because a lot of insurance policies, when you first move into the country, they may where you have to pay up front for services. Right? So we know this, now you know this, and those are the 4 steps that I think when it comes to money and moving abroad. And now, drum roll, how much does it cost? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. What do you mean? I don't know. What I suggest, though, is that if you have a job and you're moving abroad with a job that's going to be paying you, however often it pays you, every week, every 2 weeks, or once a month, you put at least 3 months into that for then account. That means your housing is covered for 3 months, what you estimate your housing is going to be, your transportation, your food costs, your health insurance costs. That should be a minimum requirement, and you should be fine. If anything were to happen, you should be good to go. And your emergency fund, have at least enough for a plane ticket to come back in case something were to happen, because life happens, right? If you're a saver, and these are the steps you wanted something outlined, this is the way to go. If you're not a saver, then this don't even matter. And you a jumper and a flyer, you just go honey, go. Tell me about it, because I'm with you. I jump,
right? But
I also plan to save too. I'm a little bit of everything.
There's room for both types of people. But yeah, if this is your first time and you're the least bit worried about moving, then just take our advice.
Right.
Can't hurt anything.
And one more step: if you don't have a job and you're moving overseas, or you're moving abroad without a job, you need to have at least a year of your costs covered. At least a year. That way you won't stress, because you're going to stress. If you get here without a job and you start spending money, because baby, money flies out when you ain't got a job. Even when you got a job. When you move abroad, when you first get abroad, you spend a lot of money getting used to and getting settled in. You buy things that you didn't think you'd have to buy because you're so used to having those things in the States. And so you come here and you actually have to spend more money sometimes. The upfront cost can be pretty high. And then you settle into a pattern and everything gets okay.
Right.
But like when we went, everywhere we went in Vietnam and Asia, everywhere we had to get like a new stove, a little portable stove. We had to get maybe a kettle, maybe a plate or bowl, little stuff you're like, it's little things that eat into your budget.
And even if you plan to like live in a hostel or live somewhere that is where everything's provided and that's all you're gonna do, and you're gonna keep your costs low in that way, I mean, you're still gonna need emergency money, because emergencies happen, whether it's a plane ticket out of there or whether it's medical costs. Still got to plan for that.
Right. You definitely have to. And weather could be a factor,
Right.
We've had hurricanes, and we're in hurricane season. We could be perfectly healthy, but our home could flood, and we may have to go to a hotel for 2 or 3 days. I actually went to a hotel in the last one because we lost power for a number of hours, and it was hot. And so I went to a hotel where they had AC and a generator.
And food.
Yeah, and food, because I couldn't cook, because we have electric range. You may want to look at a gas range, right? These are the things you got to think about, and that's money. And so, the cost of what it's going to take is going to be up to you. It really, truly is going to be up to you. Write it down. Think about it. Even if you're flying, and if you're saying, I'm moving tomorrow, I don't care, still take a few minutes and think about these things that we've talked about.
That's true. And that's a good point to write it down, because then you look at it and see if it makes sense or not.
Right. If you're that type of person.
Right.
If you have to voice record yourself, just speaking it out loud, then do that as well. But just do something a little bit extra to make sure that you're covering all of your bases as you move abroad to Mexico or wherever. Right?
Yeah, man.
Do it though. Do it. But you got to follow these steps. And you definitely need to go back and watch video 1 and 2 on moving abroad in our series, and come back next week for video 4 in our move abroad. And that's going to be packing and getting rid of your
ish.
She said it, not me. And not the real word, but you know what we was talking about. You know what we was talking about. All right, y'all. I am Kat.
And Amber.
And we will see you next week, y'all. Peace and love.